Very delightful to see the awards, because what is our motto?
We serve.
What is it?
We serve.
What is it?
We serve.
That is absolutely correct. District Governor, and I want to also personally thank Tim for inviting me. I came from Ohio and the Buckeye State. First time in St. Louis. First time up the, whatever that is, they go all the way up and you go all the way down. And I was praying that there would not be an earthquake or the wind would not be that violent. But it's really good to travel throughout our country. This being the year 1951, of course we are engaged in a war right now with North Korea and South Korea. And I will have a few comments on that. It's also been my privilege as founder of our Lions International to meet many, many distinguished individuals across the world. And just recently I had an opportunity to meet Winston Churchill. And Winston and I have hit it off. I've been over at his home several times. He's been here to my home. And I heard a story about Winston that is very indicative of who he really is. And a few years ago in 1945, the war was winding down, thank God. Nazi Germany was about to lose, and Japan was about to surrender a few months later. And Winston Churchill had an opportunity to attend at the palace at the invitation of King George of England. Eisenhower was there, and Patton, and Montgomery, and most of the leaders of in World War II. And Winston Churchill has a habit of tipping the bottle sometimes a little bit too much. And by the end of the evening, he was a little tipsy. And one of the gracious ladies of the court came up to him and said, "Prime Minister, this is outrageous. You are inebriated, drunk, shameful." And you have to know Winston Churchill. He looked at the lady and said, "Madam, you are very, very ugly, but tomorrow morning I'll be sober." True story. Only Winston Churchill. I would like to begin this evening by all of us in our minds, this being the year 1951, to ask ourselves, why are you a lion? And I have two questions. Question number one, what connection do you have as a lion in your community here in St. Louis? And question number two, what do Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, and many of our founding fathers have in common with lions? Answer, you can't get very far until you do something for somebody else. You can't get very far in this life until you do something for somebody else. Our founding fathers said it in a different way, but the same reference can be made. You can't get very far in this life until you contribute to your community, to society, to your state, to our nation. Years ago, when Lions was in the infant stage, I was asked a very insightful question. What if men who are successful because of their drive, their intelligence, and their ambition were to put their talents to work, improving their communities and society, what would happen? I immediately realized the importance of that question, and application of that question became our motto, which has made Lions a different service club than any others. Let us remember, we are not lions for ourselves. we are lions for those who are not. Lions have always been an unselfish service to mankind and always a distinct community supporter. The importance of any society and civilization not only centers around the family, but the local community, which we'll see in a few moments. My fellow lions, you can't take anything with you. I wish you could, but you can't. For what you do for yourself alone dies with you. But what you do for others lives and becomes immortal. This is my desire for lions in future years, 25 years, 30 years. Someday we'll reach the turn of the century. And may the same principle still apply to our organization as a service club, that we serve the community. However, service clubs cannot be any better than the men and women that espouse the core beliefs of that service club, and that's what we're going to get to. The application of these beliefs has made Lions a strong service club. On October the 8th through the 10th in 1917, our first convention was held in Dallas, Texas. Millions of lives have been transformed because of what happened during those 3 days. The legacy continues even up until now in 1951. These are the objectives, the code of ethics that I expect every lion to embellish in their life. And if you can't uphold the basic premises of our service club, then you need to get out. Because it's extremely important that we know what the code of ethics and what we believe as a lion. Number one, to promote the practice of good government and good citizenship. Liberty, intelligence, our nation's safety. As we have concerns today for the spread of communism across Asia, all lions need to stand firm in protecting our liberties. We have contained within the founding of our nation the greatest republic that mankind has ever known. After the Constitutional Convention that replaced the Articles of Confederation at the founding of our country, Benjamin Franklin was walking outside and he was met by a young lady. All of Philadelphia was concerned, what type of government have you given us? And she runs up to Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, what have you given us? And he said, Madam, we have given you a republic if you can keep it. It's extremely important that as lions, we are patriotic, that we support our country, that we support our troops, that we support our veterans, that we acknowledge the men and the women who have sacrificed their lives, that we can be here today in 1951 under the flag of freedom and the freedoms that we have in this country. Number two, as a lion, we are to take an active interest in the civic, commercial, and social welfare of our local community. Coupled with good citizenship, we have now a perfect blend. What can we do to improve your local schools, churches, synagogues, libraries, and above all, your business, your practice when you leave home? It's extremely important as a lion that you take a deep interest in your local community. It's at this level begins the foundation of our civilization. Number three, we are to provide as lions a forum for the full and free discussion of all matters of public interest. This gives to us freedom of speech. We have freedom of religion. We have freedom of the press. These are precious freedoms that now, all across Asia, are under attack. We need to support President Truman and some of his decisions with Korea and North Korea. And we have to remember, we are free because of our veterans and the men and the women all the way back from the founding of our country who have sacrificed their lives for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of the press. And I would like to see all our organizations from the local level on up to have an open forum for a full and free discussion on all matters of public interest in our clubs. Number 4, to promote high ethical standards in business in our profession. To be careful of our criticism of others and be liberal with our praise always. In some communities, you may have 3 or 4 men that have insurance companies. I do not expect a cutthroat atmosphere from one insurance company to another insurance company, and I do know insurance companies, by the way. We need to always look after the other person. It's a biblical principle that we need to apply as lions. Do unto others as you would have others do to you. Always think of the best interest for the other person in service, because that's our model. We serve. We serve. Become a servant to the community, to the school system, to your church or synagogue, to your business practices, and always maintain high ethical morals in your life, not only as a business individual, but as a leader. And remember, you're a lion, the Lion of Judah. And remember what the Lion of Judah stands for. Strength, doesn't it? Strength. You're a leader in the community. People look at you. When they know that you're a lion, that should say something of service for your community. Number 5, to bear in mind one's obligations to the family. The family, are you listening? The family is the foundation of our Western civilization. Do you understand? The family is the cornerstone of our culture. The family is the foundation of our nation. And if ever the family begins to crumble, the nation will follow. And eventually the civilization will follow and crumble. We need to respect life, the sanctity of life. All of life is precious. Wives, husbands, and children. And as a lion, we need to uplift our families. And we need to uplift the sanctity of life. And we need to always uplift our fellow human beings. And this brings us into the next one, number 6, to look at all peoples no matter of race, color, creed, or religion. As a lion, we are open to all beliefs. We are not necessarily Protestant or Jewish or Catholic. We are open to all. We do not espouse any religion as the religion. But we have to remember to accept all faiths, all races, all peoples. That includes maybe the homeless that we know of in St. Louis. I had an opportunity this afternoon. Tim drove us around St. Louis in a horse and buggy. And we noticed under some of the bridges, you have homeless people. Have you ever thought about, as a lion, as an organization, what can we do for the homeless situation? Where we're from in Ohio, We have a tent city where we have many, many people who have lost their homes, lost their jobs, have no hope anymore, and they end up living in a tent along this river. It's serious. It's there. You have them here in St. Louis. What are you doing for the homeless? For the needy? Maybe it's a project you can take on for your organization. Maybe some evening you need to get out at night, walk up and down the streets, talk to the homeless people. Maybe there's something there that you can do. Remember, as a Lion, we serve the community. Number 7, in our organization, we need to have suitable recognition, which we have this evening, by your outstanding individuals. All of you are outstanding. All of you are outstanding as a Lion. But it's wonderful to have an opportunity like this where we recognize certain individuals within the organization for all the work they do. And let me tell you, it takes time. It takes time. And we had some, 18 perfect attendance here? 18. That's incredible for your organization. And I go all over the country with various Lion organizations, and 18 is phenomenal. So that's something to be really proud of. And number 8, to work with diabetes. We need to continue to work intense research in this field, coupled with working with the blind and the prevention of blindness, of which my wife is going to say just a few words here in a moment on the Seeing Dog project that we have. These are our core beliefs. If you can't uphold them, then get out. It's extremely important because you represent something. When somebody knows that you're a Lion, you represent something. You represent service. Humble service to your community. That can change the community, that can change the state, that can change the nation, that can change the world. And it happens. And you're part of it. There are very few men within modern history that have the insight and core beliefs other than our founding fathers. But the same core beliefs that Benjamin Franklin had, and George Washington, and Madison, and Adams, these men that brought forth the greatest nation that the world has ever known, the same core beliefs are found within Lions. And it comes down to one word, as Benjamin Franklin would always say: service. We serve. We give back. What happened at our 9th annual convention? As I look over the crowd here, I don't believe anybody was there in 1925. If you were, please stand.
Hey, Bud, stand up.
In 1925, we had our annual convention at the Breakers Hotel in Cedar Point, Ohio, along the beautiful Lake Erie. And there was somebody there that day that was very special. Her name was Helen Keller. And Helen Keller challenged us to become Knights of the Blind in the crusade against darkness. And her speech changed forever the direction of Lions by becoming a catalyst for our future involvement in blindness. Many of us who were there can still remember the burning words of Helen Keller: "Hasten the day when there shall be no prevented blindness, no deaf and blind child untaught or unaided ever again." And we as Lions stood and we accepted her challenge. And it's been a wonderful challenge. A new direction in 1925 for Lions. And we have progressed. And I hope and I pray to God Almighty that we continue to progress in the field, in the research of blindness. The outreach of our Lions Service Club across the world through citizenship and patriotism, for drug awareness, youth camps, diabetes research, blindness, will continue with a global impact, spelling hope and health for millions upon millions of humans on this planet. I think of the words of our 1917 convention by one of our leaders that had the closing prayer. It went something like this, if I can remember that far back in my mind. Teach me that we only have 60 minutes in an hour. We only have 16 ounces in 1 pound. We have 100 cents in $1. And help me to live each moment to give. And help me to live so I can lie down at night with a clear conscience. Grant me that I may earn my meal ticket and deafen me to the jingle of tainted money. And may my life be worthwhile, and may it be a better world when I leave than when I came in. And then he said, there is a destiny that makes us all brothers. None comes this way alone. All that we send into the lives of others will always come back in our own. So I challenge you, this club, tonight, in 1951, to serve, and to serve, and to serve. Place it on your plaques. Place it on your walls. Bear it in your hearts. Hang it up at your office. At home. At church. In your schools. In your communities. As a lion, we serve, and may this be a better world when we leave than when we came in. God bless all our veterans. God bless all of you. God bless the United States of America. Thank you. My wife, who is a professional golfer, by the way, would just like to say a few words about the blind program.
I don't play golf. I hurt people if I tried to. Today I'm married to Melvin. Our first date, I was dating George Washington. My next date was with Simon Kenton. When we were dating, I never knew who I was going to have dinner with. Now I never knew who I'm going to sleep with, because he does 28 different people. It's a very exciting life. I wanted to personally thank you for your program with the blind. I think you call it leader dogs here. Right. In Ohio, we call it pilot dogs. And I was a student for 6 weeks at the National Canine Training Center for Dogs. And we got to go to the pilot program there. We got to meet the puppies. We got to meet the foster parents for the puppies. We got to meet 2 recipients of the dogs. And then, one by one, they blindfolded us and gave us a dog to walk with in downtown Columbus. It was very scary, but it was so joyful, so joyful to see the people that had their dogs. There were Goldens and Labs. My dog that walked me was named Maya. I have a granddaughter, Maya, and she was a standard poodle with a short haircut. They give them short haircuts because the blind person can't take care of the long hair. So she was a cutie. But what you do is wonderful. Thank you.